Good evening and welcome to the first of three meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will convene our Board of Sanitation meeting for Tuesday, February the 18th, 2020. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Harrison.
James Kaufman, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. You have been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, February the 3rd, 2020. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
I second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. This evening, Board, we have 4 pages of wastewater claims in the amount of $124,369.02. Floor is open for questions or comments.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the wastewater claims dated February the 18th, 2020 in the amount of $124,369.02.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. We have no unfinished business from the previous meeting. We have one order of new business, a refund from American Senior Communities concerning overpayment of sewer charges. And I'll defer to the clerk treasurer for explanation.
Yeah, it was last 2019, I think March or April. A few of the commercial accounts were billed way too much. One of the employees was gone, another one was doing the billing. So this is one of them that was just completely overbilled for their sewer bill. The first account was $6,082.98 is their current credit, and the next one is $7,944.78. Both of those belong to the American Senior Communities. So they would like us to refund their overpayment, and I agree. They paid the bill last year. It was way too high, but they paid it, so I think we need to refund their money. And yeah, that's it.
Questions or comments from board members?
What was that first amount?
The first one was $6,082.98.
I just have to ask, how was that allowed to happen?
I'm not sure. I'm surprised they paid the bill, truthfully. But I know there were a few of them that happened last year. I think most of them are corrected. This one was not. So I'm not sure why she's just now asking for one, but she did call me a couple weeks ago wanting the management wants all of that back just because their books are off and they want to get it corrected. So
Well, I don't blame them.
yeah.
Any other comments from board members?
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the request to refund American Seniors Communities overpayments on their sewer bill.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. That concludes new business. Comments from board members?
I have none.
I have none, thank you.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:04 p.m. We will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting as soon as we reset. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the second of 3 meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. At this time, we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Tuesday, February the 18th, 2020. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Harrison.
James Kaufman, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. You have been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, February the 3rd, 2020. Floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I make said motion.
I second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you, Board. We have no unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting. This evening, we have, go to approval of claims, I'm sorry. This evening, we have 29 pages of corporate claims in the amount of $1,479,092.78. The floor is open for any questions or comments.
I'll make a comment. On page 25, it was nice to see that we got that grant funding for Smith's project for some, the local bridge and matching fund.
yeah.
That's always
That was
nice to
last year.
see, so thank you for that.
That's the funding that the council did an encumbrance on, and it's
Encumbrance, yeah,
paid for,
yeah.
so.
That's my only comment. Thank you.
Dave, any comments?
I have none.
No further comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the corporate claims dated February the 18th, 2020, in the amount of $1,479,092.78.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you, Board. We have no unfinished business to carry over from the previous meeting. Tonight, we have several items under new business. The first is 2020 drainage project, Westler Engineering. Emily?
Hi. So Westler Engineering is requesting permission to solicit quotes for the 2020 miscellaneous drainage improvements project. We've been working with the Department of Public Works and the mayor to evaluate drainage complaints from residents in two areas. One is along Buffalo Street, around Buffalo and 6th Avenue, and the second area is along the backyards area on Killian Drive. So that would be between Killian and 9th Avenue. Our design team has developed improvement recommendations for those areas, and several site visits have been conducted to observe those drainage issues. A quote package has been prepared, which includes the construction drawings, technical specifications, and contract documents. We have a proposed construction schedule. We're, as I said, requesting permission to solicit quotes. We would then solicit quotes tomorrow. We would be prepared to open quotes on March 16th. At your meeting, regular scheduled meeting that day. Issue notice award in early April. Be prepared to execute the contract and issue notice to proceed in mid-April. And then we expect construction to be completed in mid-July with final completion and closeout of that contract in mid-August.
Emily, is Dangerfield on here as well?
Dangerfield, we are doing separately because the scope is so different that we would use different contractors for that.
Okay,
So, and that one also requires a permit that this project does not. So
Okay.
it's going to be a separate request.
okay.
Right now, the engineer's estimate for this is about $135,000.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for Westler?
I have none. Thank you.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to allow them to proceed with quotes and issuance of award.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Thank you very
Do you
much.
have anything for us tonight, or?
No,
Okay.
so we'll go ahead and start talking to contractors tomorrow, getting the quote packages out to them, and then they'll be submitting their quotes to the board at the March 16th meeting. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Emily.
We are looking at, go through the 5 contractors that we're planning to request. We are looking to ask Eagle Valley, Cooley Construction, Russell Excavating, IRE, and there's one that's slipping my, White Construction. So those are the 5 contractors that we'll be reaching out to tomorrow.
Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Excellent work. We're going to move over to the sanitary sewer side, and We're joined by Joe Bardos and Brent to talk about the sewer extension for Milestone Construction. Brent, welcome back.
Thank you, and good evening. Would like to present for the board's consideration approval for Wessler Engineering to proceed with the solicitation of bids for the 2020 sanitary sewer extension project. The purpose of this project is to extend sanitary service to the development at the old CSX property. We're looking at about 2,000 feet of 3-inch low-pressure sewer, which would travel west under Emerson Avenue along Subway Street, and then connect to the city's existing system around Bethel Avenue, 6th, 7th Avenue. The sewer would also be able to provide service to 4 other businesses. They're in proximity to the CSX property, as well as along Subway Street. The estimated construction cost for the project is $248,000. And we would plan on receiving sealed bids on March the 9th and opening them at a special board meeting that evening of the 9th. Award the project at the next regularly scheduled meeting on March 16th. And then we have the construction contract set for 150 days to be substantially complete. Would be happy to answer any questions you may have about this project.
Any questions from the board?
We're gonna approve it tonight.
No, we're just going to approve allowing them to proceed.
So with your approval, we would then proceed with advertising the project for the purpose of getting bids.
What other businesses might use that, you said?
L&L Engineering, Krukemeyer Machine, Shelby Materials, and Brookfield Sand and Gravel.
They don't use anything now?
Currently, none of those facilities are connected to the city system, no.
This is,
They're either on septic or they don't have service at all.
this is such a win-win for the city,
Yes.
because we have 2 businesses that are on septic that will hook onto our sewer, and then we have 2 other businesses
Yes.
that are on, well, actually 3 on, I think Shelby's on septic tank.
Shelby has their own on-site treatment, process, and then
So that
Brookfield
is so
trucks it.
good for that area.
Yeah, Brookfield trucks it to the sanitary system.
That's good. You guys have done well with this. This is a good project.
Thank you.
It's gonna come in much cheaper than we thought.
Yes.
Any further questions from the board?
I have none, thank
I
you.
have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to allow Wessler to proceed with the bid process for the sewer extension.
I'll make some motion.
I would second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
Joe, you want to add anything, Joe?
Yeah, he's here for support. Actually, Joe and Nick designed the project, so
I've never
Joe's a
met
bit under the
Nick.
weather, so I figured I'd get up here.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brent. Next order of new business is request to hire police officer. Chief?
Good evening, Board. The Beech Grove Police Department is requesting to hire Ms. Kelsey Gambala. Ms. Gambala has passed all the requirements for employment as a Beech Grove police officer. Ms. Gambala fills the position left open by Officer Lovell's resignation last year. This hire is conditional on board approval and acceptance into PERF. Ms. Gambala's start date will be February 24th, 2020. This position is also budgeted for 2020.
Comments from board members?
I have none.
I have none.
Motion to approve the chief's request based on acceptance into PERF.
Make said motion.
I would second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you, board. Promotion within the Beech Grove Police Department. Chief?
Evening, Board. I am requesting, Sergeant Matt Hickey has been promoted to Acting Captain of Investigations. Captain Hickey's pay will change from $3,030.11 biweekly to $3,164.73 biweekly. This change will be effective 1/27 of 2020 pending board approval. Captain Hickey's promotion will follow BGPD's operations manual, and this position was left vacant by Captain Mercury's promotion to deputy chief. This position is also budgeted for 2020.
Questions or comments from board members?
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the chief's request to promote Sergeant Matt Hickey to acting captain of investigations.
I will make said motion.
I would second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Position change, Beech Grove Police Department. Chief?
Officer Lee Huffman has been assigned to the Investigations Division as a general detective. He will now receive detective on-call pay, which is $1,500 per year. His pay rate changes from $2,749.63 biweekly to $2,807.33 biweekly, and was effective 2/10/2020 pending board approval.
I think it's important, that's not really a promotion, right?
It's not a promotion, it's just
Staff.
assigning him to the investigations.
But I
We
think
had a
it's a-
process, but
I think it's important that the public knows that he has a change in pay, so I think we need to disclose that. So, any questions or comments from board members?
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the chief's request to assign Officer Lee Huffman into the detective division.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
thank you, board.
Chief, I know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you or Bob talk about Sunday, whatever you can? While you're up there?
Yes. Well, I think most of it is out. We had a homicide on Sunday morning involving family member on family member. The public, the suspect stayed on scene, I should say. It was a juvenile, 16-year-old. So unfortunately, we're not immune to the violence that's going on either, but the detectives came out, handled it. We're out there all night processing the scene with crime lab and the coroner's office, and so he has been arraigned and moved to adult court, so.
Well, kudos to the police department, well done. It's getting bad all around us, so I'm very proud of our guys. They're being very diligent about preventing crime and fighting crime, and it's tough. This is tough stuff, and you can't take it personally when something like this happens, but I appreciate, as a citizen and mayor, I appreciate the job that you folks have done
Thank
over the last weekend. Well done.
Appreciate it, thank you.
We have one more order of new business that was not on the agenda. It's a handicap parking permit that came in today, and we don't want to hold this up for those in need. So Jim,
Yeah, just one today, Rebecca Land.
and everything's in order?
Yes, yeah, we have all our documentation here. I brought one too, so in case you need one. But, yeah, everything's good.
Any questions or comments from board members?
Have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the handicap parking permit for Rebecca Land.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you, board. That concludes new business. Comments from board members?
I have none.
I have none.
No comments. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make said motion.
I second.
Meeting is adjourned at 6:20 PM. We will convene our city council meeting tonight for a special meeting at 7 PM. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the third and final meeting tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. At this time, we will convene our special Common Council meeting for Tuesday, February the 18th, 2020. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Buddy Templin, Councilman at Large.
Kevin Day, District 4. Dave Harrison, District 5.
James Kaufman, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Elizabeth Lamping, Council District 1.
Kara Ferguson, Council at Large.
Robert Ferguson, District 3.
Gary Hall, District 2.
Thank you, council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will go straight into public comments. I'll defer to our council.
Yes, Pam Stallard. Three minutes, ma'am.
My name's Pam Stallard. I live at 711 Churchman, Beech Grove, 46107. Regarding the reason we're here tonight on possible rate increases for trash, sewer. I have tried to do some research and find out different things so I can make a better judgment on how I actually feel about these increases. I've been told that the increases are necessary. I personally have a lot of doubts about that. I began my research by talking to Brad Merriweather with the Department of Public Works. I would like to continue my research and speak to the people with the fire department, and I'd like to speak with the people in the police department. I'd like to talk to them about their budgets, their vehicles, their maintenance, where their money goes, what kind of money they need. Unfortunately, I've only had the time to get to DPW, and Brad Merriweather was very courteous and very forthcoming. I found some interesting things. We have 4 trash trucks, but we only use 2 out of the 4. We only pull one of the older ones out of service if one of the new ones goes in for an oil change or maintenance. The 4th one just sits there. That's kind of a waste of resources, but that's just something that I'm seeing. Maybe other people could take a look at that also. I would like to see this vote tonight continued to a later date for my personal satisfaction of doing further research and getting more information from both the police and the fire. But that's just something I would like to see. So I am very opposed to the increase in the sewer bills. I have yet to see anything on a citizen's letterhead that says that our rates are going to increase. I have seen citizens' letterhead saying our rates are going to be adjusted. Didn't say increased, didn't say decreased, it just said they were going to be adjusted. I've yet to see anything that says they're going to increase. I personally would like to see that before we vote on that increase. So if you could at all postpone your vote this evening to some later date, I would certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Mr. Grenoble.
My name's Dave Grenoble, and I live at 115 South 12th in Beech Grove, Indiana, 46107. You guys have had a rough couple of weeks with everything that's gone on, and I don't know what the right answer is, and I'm not sure any of you know what the right answer is on whether to raise these rates or not. We've all heard an awful lot of different numbers. I mean, I heard back in December that a rate increase was going to be asked for after the first of the year. I've heard numbers as $15, I've heard $10, I've heard $7, I heard $6.34. I don't think anybody really knows. And I think the problem with that is that we need to do more research. You guys have 15 days. 15 days since this ordinance was given to you to begin with on this rate increase. And I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but when I found out that the rates might be increased in January, I reached out to Anthony Swinger at OUCC, and I asked him in an email, can you let me know if the IURC has approved a rate increase for citizens? And this is what I got. IURC sent this to him, and he sent it to me. Now, I'm not a real smart man, but everything in here shows that the rates are going backwards. Starting 1/1/2020, they're all decreased. It might be 3 cents, it might be 6 cents, it might be 9 cents. Even the flat rates have been decreased. Now, this is dated November 18th and filed, signed by a whole lot of attorneys. I don't know who they are, but this is an official document. So I don't think you guys have enough information yet to make a decision, because we don't know what the number's going to be, or even if there is going to be an increase. Because I got a document from the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission saying they're going backwards. I'm sure you've all seen documents saying they're going up. I think we need to do some more checking, so I would ask you to table it, and table it just till March. If you vote on it in March and you raise the rates can go active in April. There's no need to do this tonight. And last thing I want to say in closing is when the referendums are done by the schools, and I know it's a completely different issue, but when the referendums are done by the school, every person that pays taxes on a parcel is affected. It's not fair that this fall to the single-family residents. If you don't include the apartments and you don't include commercial, I've already contacted the ACLU, and I will get a class action lawsuit filed for discrimination. So if you raise them, fine, but raise them to everybody, and make sure you know what the number is. Now, Kara Ferguson asked me to give her this, and she's free to pass it around to anybody that wants it.
Thank you, Dave.
Matthew.
Good evening, Council. My name is Matthew Kochevar. I live at 701 Andrea Drive. My comments are actually directed at the council members who represent me, so that would be Councilman Harrison, Templin, and Ferguson. I'll first start off by saying that I don't think anyone in this room likes having a bill increased, but I understand that, sometimes, things have to be increased, costs get adjusted. It's my understanding, just from reading the current ordinance and then reading the proposed ordinance, that it's been some time since these rates have been adjusted, at least from my understanding of the two ordinances here. The last time that they were amended were at least going back to 2017, if not a little bit longer. Now, I don't know what the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission has agreed to with Citizens. I don't know what Citizens, in fact, is charging back. I have to assume that what's in the ordinance, assuming $75 or 75 cents for this year per 1,000 units of sewer water. Forgive me, I'm not a utility expert. I'm an attorney. I know election law. I don't know utility law, so my understanding here is probably not as great as some other people's are. But if Citizens is charging back the city has to pay that bill in some way. I can only tell you personally how that will affect me. My bill's obviously going to go up since everything's a standard flat rate. My assumption is that my bill is the same as the bill for any other person who owns a piece of residential property here. I could tell you that I make an income where I can afford that adjustment for the next couple years up through 2023. My hope is that as you consider this ordinance tonight, but also ordinances in the future, should that be required, that you do balance, one, being able to meet the city's obligations, especially when we have to pay someone else to, in this case, treat our sewer water, but at the same time balance that out with thinking about your constituents and can they, make sure that they can also afford their monthly bill. I would hate to see that, any adjustment would affect a citizen who then, couldn't pay something that is very necessary to our daily lives, and that is, being able to use our toilets and get rid of our wastewater. But at this current time, based on the information I had, based on talking with people who know the city, who know how these things work, who most likely have a relationship with citizens, this rate is coming down from them. Something has to be done to make sure that we can pay for it and the city doesn't go in the red. Again, I don't like it personally, don't like paying an increase in a bill, but I do understand it. I'm from Lake County originally. I will tell you this, Lake County for many years fought instituting a local option income tax. And what happened is that the state froze their tax levy. And that's, well, for lack of a better word, sucked. I'm essentially telling you what I told the county council back then. I don't like it. Sometimes things have to be done that we don't like. And so those are my comments. I apologize if I'm rambling a little bit, but this is my first time I'm giving public comment at a city council meeting. So, I understand, where you may land, voting yes or no, tabling this, you want to get more information, that's all fine and dandy. I would just ask you to consider balancing those two things that I've mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Busby.
Hi, my name's Richard Busby. Please forgive me, I'm under the influence legally. I just had a new knee put in, so I hope I'm not too incoherent. See, I can't even speak. Incoherent. But I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I talked to a couple of council people, and this year we got a 2.8 increase in our Social Security. Well, that's already ate up. It's gone. We've lost the last 2-3 years, Social Security, because Medicare goes up. Our supplements go up, so we don't get hit every time we go to the hospital. That 20% that they don't pay. Our prescriptions go up. Now the schools referendums go up, and that is a part of this, because it all comes out of my pocket, your pocket, and your pocket. I talked to a couple of councilmen, and we went into great detail because I talked about a two-tier, one for senior citizens and then one for everybody that's working. We're on a fixed income. When I negotiate contracts in my country for 30 years, we made a two-tier for the lower pay people, the $15, $13 an hour people. Then we had the $30 an hour, they pay full benefits. I think it's time that this board, our city, bite the bullet. I brought this up at the meeting the other day. It's time to freeze a budget. Start using this. There's ways of working this out without just putting a Band-Aid over it every year with an increase. That's just a temporary fix. I talked to someone that has a brilliant idea. If you guys would just sit down and talk and work this out. It's only been a week since we asked you to talk to each other, work out something. Can't do it in a week's time. I moved that I ain't gonna move it because then you have to move it. I asked, see, I know Robert's Rules of Orders. I asked that each one of you honorable people, I see it on your thing, table this, get together and listen to each other. Not the temporary fixes. That's what's happened to this city. It's always temporary fixing. We're thinking outside the box of 4 miles. We're landlocked people. You gotta start thinking as landlocked. We can't expand. All we can do is raise the increase of our homes to bring up the tax revenue. We can't expand like all the other counties do, and they got more income. Start thinking about that. We have to freeze the budget within the 4 miles that we live within and start functioning in that manner. And I know some of you got brilliant ideas. I think it'll work if given the chance. please table this tonight. Because that referendum, yeah, it's part of it. Then we haven't even received the increases from all the stuff they're gonna do downtown. There goes more of my 2.8 that I never saw anyway. And anybody that's on a fixed income here knows that we're losing ground fast. Every year I go, well, honey, how are we gonna make it this year? Help us out. If we need a two-tier, think about it. If we need a better permanent basis, think about that too. Thanks so much.
Thanks, sir.
Kevin?
My name's Kevin Cocker, live at 944 Timber Grove Place, Beech Grove, Indiana, 46107. I'm in District 3. I've come before you tonight because I think it was about 7 months ago I came up here when we were talking about possibly selling our sewer system, etc. I've realized that we've moved on in some ways, but there's some things in the bigger picture that I ask you to think about tonight that we haven't done. We are not coming up with the proper plan. A plan that is your responsibility to pay bills. You can't just simply, every time there's a problem, turn to the citizenry and say, we got to bring rates up, we got to bring taxes up. We definitely, I agree with Mr. Busby, we have to think outside of the box, but that's an old phrase now. I'm saying we've got to get responsible for what we do. That's all I'm asking you to do. And to merely come out and pretend again that this problem is something, it'll go away, it's no problem. It's really not a problem. It depends on what kind of a name you put on it. I ask you to do the right thing, and I'm telling you now, it's live within the budget. Because I know I do that at home. I'd love to go buy a new car, a new truck, but you know what? I have to think ahead if I'm going to do that. And we've got to do that as a city. And we're not unique. This is happening all over the state. Just look and see. Our sewer rates have been known for some time. It's not a mystery, it just came up. I feel sorry for all of you that all of a sudden you've got to get real serious about how you're going to solve the problem. But we need your help as citizens. And we know there's referendums out there for the schools too. And we're going to have to be creative in how we solve that as well. I thank you for your time. I wish you the best of luck, but we've got to solve this together.
Thanks, Kevin.
Mayor?
Good evening. Dennis Buckley, 112 North 6th Avenue, District 2. Lived there since 1979. Every rate increase I've supported, and I support this one. Don't kick this can down the road any longer. Do a permanent fix and fix this right. Your rates are in place until 2023. There'll be a new administration sitting up here, and let them decide how they want to proceed. Their rate increase in 2024, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29 is going up. And you can't just table this. You have to fix this problem. And my personal opinion as a citizen, you're not going to be charging enough. You know, not everybody is against this. People don't like it, they don't understand it, but it's got to happen. How are you going to pay the bills? This UCC or whatever, I've never heard of such a thing. We have a rate in place with citizens in the IURC. It's $1.17 per 1,000 gallons treated. They're going to bill you. Jim has an email from citizens that states just that. So I don't know where all this comes from, but you better set your rates off of $1.17 every 1,000 gallons, or you're going to be further in the hole. So tonight, don't table this. Support it, vote it. The trash pickup is wonderful. We have 4 trucks. Sure, we do. We got 4 trucks. What happens when they embargo a truck? It's gone. It's gone for 2 or 3 days. What happens? I've seen 3 trucks out there, and we've had to borrow trucks before because 3 of them are down. They wreck trucks. They do all of this stuff. So don't kick this down the road any longer. Set the rates right, pass it along to the customers, and let us pay it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Mr. Hall? Council, Mr. Hall requested a little bit additional time to speak. We okay with that?
How much time's he asking?
I'm okay with that.
Mr. Hall, is 5 minutes good?
You know, I hope it's 3.5. How's
Okay.
that? Okay. Gary Hall, live at 238 South 6th Avenue, Beech Grove, Indiana. First of all, council, mayor, treasurer, I appreciate the opportunity to stand here and share this with you. Mr. Mayor, I so appreciate your words just now. Guys and gals, we need to fix this right here, right now, okay? Quote unquote, kicking it down the road, that's not gonna work. A lot of my information that I've accumulated was from the mayor's town hall meetings, which I appreciate. It was totally transparent, a lot of input from the community, a lot of input from the councilmen that were in attendance. I really appreciate that. It's total transparency. And moving forward, we should always, that should be the standard. That's the baseline we should set. The last few days, I've had the opportunity to go out in my neighborhood, and I'm sorry, I'm going through my notes here real quick. Within that, a couple things that I've personally experienced within District 2, which I have the honor to represent those guys and gals. 86% of the folks in that area weren't even aware this was even on the agenda. No clue at all. Not a clue. Never was notified by snail mail or social media or anything. 86% of the community didn't know this. Of District 2, 94% said, we can accept that. 94%. Of that 6%, I simply asked a question so I could do my job better. I wanted to meet them more than halfway. I said, why? Please tell me how we can give you a better product at the end of the day. It was their understanding of those 12 people, because I spoke to over 200 people in our district and within our community. So if you spoke to me, thank you for your time. Of those 12 souls, they came along and simply said, with that, there will be improvements. And I said, no, I'm sorry. This is just simply to pay the bills. There's no improvements projected in this money. No fixing of anything. And that's when it got reality. But even with that, I didn't change the figures because I didn't want to be, misleading by any means. So of those numbers, now again, another thing the citizens of Beech Grove need to know, if you need financial help, the citizens, there's things out there that Mr. Ferguson's brought up in the past, which again, I appreciate him going above and beyond. He's been a big help for me personally. You can go .com, it's called connect2help.com, or you can dial 211 and get citizens help. So if your budget's low, help's there, but you, the people, have to choose it, okay? It's there, okay? None of that's publicized. There's things out there that can help us. It might help with your light bill, but that'll take the pressure off that bill, which can foresee. So there's help out there for the folks that need that. So what Buzz said, everything we can do to help seniors, low income, it doesn't matter. We need to help the community. We should be helping each other. But from that is also, let's see here. Because of time, I don't want to waste time. I don't want to talk about water or anything like that. The taxpayers within our community, the satellite customers, again, per the town council meetings, or town hall meetings, 4,759 folks were there as far as when we consider satellite customers. Of that, another fact that I want to point out, 40% of our storm treatment is groundwater. So whatever we pay annually, 40% of that is just not necessary. So we need to fix that. So file that away for just a moment. Also, I got with Mr. Kaufman regarding the trash side. I requested a tote report. It's right here. Of that, we have customers. We have 3,829 tote customers. Now, if we have 4,700 plus paying for sewer services, I think our tote survey needs a little bit more accurate. And so that's 1,000 customers that we're off on that. And then another fact, I'm spitting these out. With the referendums, we talked about that. Let's see, effective. All I'm trying to do is just recommend to the council and to my colleagues, we need to be smarter with our money. And this is what I'm recommending. Now, I know tonight some people said about let's table this, let's, not kick it down the road, quote unquote. Effective immediately, and this is regarding the trash fees. Effective immediately. Now, again, I've reached out to some people, but here I am by myself. Effective immediately, the inventory and totes, when you use a tote right now, if you're a customer, if you have 3, 4, 5 totes, you pay $5 extra for that. Okay, everybody understand that, it's real simple. But what I'm proposing effective 1 April, if you have 2 totes, you also be charged for the second tote like you would be a 3, 4, 5. Those revenues, those monies per again, okay, our cash receipts, that would generate enough money, roughly about 60% of what the mayor's proposing with the trash increase. So based on our customer base, based on $2 per person, that's that magic number. So 47 times 2, there's your number, calculated out. So it works out. Then also, the other monies, the other 40% will be simply made up by, again, we're so fortunate within Beech Grove. Department of Public Works professionals, Brad and his guys and gals, do exceptional work, exceptional work. They've come by my home personally and picked up stuff just out of their gracious and never sent me the bill. I appreciate that, but I'm doing a disservice because when that goes over there and it goes into a mass bin, then the citizens are paying for the favor that I just received. And I never thought about that. So if you think about the trees, if I take the time for the sewer bill and call for a service, and those guys and gals come out and give me quality service, 100%, 100%. If they perform that, I need to pay for that because I've requested it. It needs to be online. So if you take that 60%, and I'm talking about the $5 tote, take the monies that we should be paying, take those monies, that will resolve the trash issue. It's simple math, okay? Simple math, it's there. Now the second thing, as far as the sewer goes, so I'm getting all these messages, sorry. As far as the sewer goes, effective immediately, this will really impact Mr. Kaufman's office, but we need to modernize the way the office does business. From that, effective 1 April, and again, it's your dollars working for you, okay? Effective 1 April, what we could, my suggestion as a citizen, effective 1 April, what we would do is simply, depending on the software with Citizens Water Utility coming into your home, whatever comes in there, that's what you pay for processing. So that number will be consistent. So like Mayor Wiley, single household, he should not pay if I've got 10 kids. See the difference? Respectfully, which will impact seniors drastically, okay? That's where we can take the thing off. Now, me by choosing for having all the water usage, I needed to probably do some self-inspection inside my house and simply say, quit flushing the toilet so much. When you got kids, they seem to do that. But also, as just consumers, we need to be wiser with what we have. So if we implement that across the board, and like Mr. Grenoble's mentioned, we have to be across the board. We can't just do it to the residents. We have to do it to everybody. That way it's fair. We have to succeed as a community. And we haven't been doing that, guys. We've been failing people, okay? This is my 49th day on this job. And doggone it, let's get to work. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys feel it? We can fix this. It's straightforward. There's total transparency. And then the other thing too, and this is where it really creates an issue, which really won't impact the community at all as far as citizens go, but it will impact the mayor, it will impact the treasurer, it's going to impact us, the council, it's going to impact the department heads, but we really need to get together and restructure the budget. Our budget is a piece of junk. It is, because we're doing a disservice. We move money around. And I think the mayor so eloquently said, it's a Band-Aid. That's all it is. Because what we do tonight, if you do what we just, option one is, we're going to be in the same place in 12 months. Okay, why don't we fix it tonight? We can fix this. And that's not arrogance, guys. You guys are some smart people. But let's start doing it. Let's start acting like it. Okay? But from that, we have to recategorize. If we need equipment, let it be in that department's budget. And that way there can be some tracking. And quite frankly, and the mayor says this, and I totally disagree with this, the number one priority in my city, my Beech Grove, is my citizens. No disrespect to the professionals, the citizens of Beech Grove. If the citizens of Beech Grove weren't here, you don't need trash, you don't need fire, you don't need police, you don't need seniors. The citizens are the glue that holds this community together. And we've been neglecting the community. We have, and shame on us. With all those figures, again, the department heads we have are extremely professional people. Given the opportunity to actually empower them to run their own budgets and succeed, we will all succeed. But we have to be financially responsible, and we haven't been up to this point. That's what's got us here. This repetitiveness, Groundhog's Day that we're experiencing, look back. Look how many years we've been doing the same thing. We got to quit doing this, guys and gals. We got to quit doing that. I so appreciate your time. Again, my name is Gary Hall. If anybody has any questions, I'd be honored to talk to you afterwards.
I think when you started out, did you say 96 or 98%?
Let's see.
For the increase?
Let me look it up, because I don't want to lie to you. Did I say? Yeah, and of the six, just so you know, and actually it was over 200 people, so there was 12 people.
You told them that they agreed to the increase, and that's not.
Oh, did I misspeak? Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. 94% said, please, please, please don't do it. The 6% said, please do it. And then when I explained to them, it didn't require any updates. So I'm sorry if I misspoke. Okay, need to take that one off take it out of my pay? Yeah. But again, council, thank you for your time, and thank you for your service to our community. Do you have any questions? Nope? Okay, thanks.
Julie?
Hello, my name is Julie Edgecombe, and I live at 73 South 7th Avenue, Beech Grove, 46107. First time speaking, so bear with me. I have several comments. One, I have not discussed this with Gary, but I agree with Gary. I am a single household, and in the last year, my income has been reduced by about 70%. I can't afford much increase. As it stands, I can't live on what Social Security is going to pay me. And as a single, I have one bag of trash. My neighbor behind me has 5 totes out there, not including his 3 recycles. I don't think it's right that I should pay the same as he does. Also, I live alone. Why am I paying the same rates to flush my toilet and do my 1 load of laundry a week as someone that has 5 kids or 10 kids at home? It's not fair to those of us, and there are a lot of seniors and single people that live in Beech Grove. We should not be paying the same as people that have larger families. But my last comment is, and this doesn't apply to just this meeting, although that's when it initially came up, but after I thought about it, I would like to request that the council, anytime a vote is taken, that you do it by show of hands. I think these, the cameras are on. It's not always, you're not always able to tell how each council person has voted when they ask for you just to speak, And I think you are voted in. Every person in there should know how their district council person voted for things that affect them. And I would like to request that not only for this meeting, but for all future meetings, your vote be done by show of hands, so us as citizens know how our council person voted towards whatever the ordinance or whatever that may be. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Anybody else wish to speak this evening?
I want to just, if it's okay, I want to read an email from Mr. Phil Gerganis, just to the public. And this is Mr. Gerganis, and he is the man who is in the holes, and he is doing the work, and this is his concern. And he wrote to us today, and every council member received this, but I want to read it to the citizens of our city. Back in October, we had a serious sewer backup that affected the property at 3806 South Emerson Avenue. The event seriously traumatized me and made me deeply concerned about owning the sewer system. We responded with the only equipment we had, and it could not do the job. We relied on an outside contractor to help. We were able, in this instance, to get the line open. I fear we are not far from an event that will cause so much damage it will devastate the city's finances. I suggested you follow what has recently happened in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Over the last 2 months, they have had 7 pipe breaks that have allowed over 210 million gallons of raw sewage to flow into neighborhoods and eventually the river. The risk of being in the situation of not having the equipment, manpower, or money to deal with these catastrophic events is not worth the so-called profit this utility returns to the general fund. You won't hear my opinion anymore. I am only making my last plea to you to sell this system before the inevitable happens. Last fall, we had 3 companies willing to be buyers. You are making a serious error in judgment in not getting the city out of the sewer business. These are manholes and pipes that are in, these are
The gentleman will
manholes.
suspend. The gentleman will suspend. Please continue.
Point of order,
These are manholes and pipes that are in some cases over 100 years old. From Mr. Phil Garganis, who works for the DPW. Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question then?
Mayor, yes.
Lawyer,
What's your question, Mr. Busby?
why is it we're bringing up the sewer system sale again, when this is a meeting about the water, this
Well,
trash?
I think it's still a reasonable alternative to discuss. Is it?
Is it?
This is
Well,
coming,
We can raise, we can raise everything we want. We can raise the increase, but there's nothing in the budget that gives us the ability to buy any new equipment. If you attended the meeting the other day, there's nothing about a pipeline cleaner or anything. So you go ahead and buy all the equipment you want from Fort Lauderdale.
Yet another
sir.
reason why we should get out of the business, but you just made a good point. We
Hey.
can't afford to
But we can raise it every year and ain't gonna do it.
in the situation that Mr. Garganis is talking about, we had to get a commercial entity to come
Guess
in,
we talk about it
and
anyway.
we don't have the equipment. Anybody else?
Council, Robert Cheshire, Fire Chief, Beech Grove. Been with the city of Beech Grove for 27 years. And I want to say I greatly appreciate the job that each and every one of you do for our city. It's a thankless job at times, and tonight it seems a little bit tougher. But what I want to speak to you about real quick is, even though you have difficult decisions to make, your department heads are being reached out to by the citizens. Just like you heard from Pam this evening, she's asking about equipment. We do have needs. We try to be very fiscally responsible to the citizens that we serve. And right now, you have a 18-year-old engine serving as a frontline apparatus because one of ours is at the shop. It's have serious repairs. We spent over $6,000 last week in repairs. We found out today that it has 2 broken leaf springs, so we have more additional costs coming. That apparatus is a 2013 engine. So right now, the citizens are being served by 18-year-old fire apparatus. It's well maintained. We spend a lot of money on PM, and that's what we do, preventive maintenance, for you to keep the citizens safe. And one of the questions that we receive is, if the increases aren't made, how will that affect services for the city? We have concerns from the public safety side that it will cut. We operate basically, our budget's open to you, it's open to the public. It's a shoestring budget for equipment and maintenance. And the largest cut that we could take, biggest hit, was personnel. And when you get into personnel, it affects the citizens that we serve. So during these difficult times, what I'm asking is, we unfortunately have to support things we don't like, but we have a lot of concern over what happens to the citizens if our budgets are cut. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chief.
May I ask him a question, please? Do you live here in Beech Grove? Okay, thank you.
Hi, Chief.
Michael Maurice, Chief of Police. I don't live here either.
I knew that. But thank you.
And I know I'm not supposed to address you, but I don't like that question to the department heads or the police officers, because we sacrifice a lot to be here and to do our jobs, and that makes it sound like we don't care, we're not bought into the community, when right now my oldest is in Monrovia playing a basketball game, and instead I'm here listening to how we may have to cut our budgets because we don't want to raise trash collection, which to me Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. My trash over the past 6 months has gone up $7 a month, from $53 every 3 months to $63. So it's a little bit more than that. But anyway, I use CGS out of Morristown. But my point is that we are bought into this community, and we have sacrificed a lot. Obviously, especially the guys on middle shift, and some of these guys have been here for others. You know, I'm getting off topic, but my point is, Mr. Hall, I think you're taking the mayor's statement out of context when he says that his number one priority is public safety. The point with public safety is that first word, public, and public is the citizens. And if they're not safe, why would a citizen want to come to Beech Grove and live? So therefore, if you don't provide the services, police and fire, safety, right? That's the safety part. So the public is the citizen, police and fire is the safety part. If that's not adequately funded and ran, why would a citizen want to move into Beech Grove? Why would they want to do that? So if we don't provide good services, so I know that we don't, and I'll probably get in trouble for doing this, I know we don't advertise our crime well. So yes, we had a murder Sunday. But what you don't realize is that we also had 2 molest cases, a rape, and an attempt abduction come in as well, on top of the domestics, the fights, the accidents. And so if you're cutting, because obviously we all know you've made it clear, and so have some of the citizens, that you want to sit down. And like Chief Cheshire said, our operating budget is bare bones as it is. It was raised this past year. So you're only looking at category 1, which is personnel. And it's hard enough to get good people to come in here. The board approved one today that I think she's going to be very, very good. She has experience. She has a 4-year degree. She's working on her master's. Great for our department, great for the citizens, a great representation of the type of people we're trying to draw in. But if you start already the 2nd month of this council talking about cutting budgets because we don't want to raise fees for services, that's scary. And so I would just say that, I mean, it's tough to raise, and I know that, but I guarantee that there's some luxuries we don't like to talk about getting rid of that you could get rid of to pay for an increase in the services that people want, and the services that we provide and the professionalism that we provide. It does cost money to provide those. And if not, then you get rid of them if you can't pay for them. That's either pay for it or you get rid of it. That's your 2 options. And you expect high quality service from us, and we provide that. And Public Works does, and so does Fire. And so does the senior citizens and the community center. And the only way not to raise this is to cut those services.
Hey, Chief, can I reply to your comment, if you got just a moment? First of all, when the mayor made those comments, he made those in a very firm tone. Okay, those are his comments, those aren't my comments. I did repeat his comments. So the way the citizens interpret that, that's between my mayor and the citizens, number 1. Number 2, when I've had the pleasure to meet with you and Chief Swartz, along with the fire chief, my number 1 first thing when we spoke, when I was a candidate, was to make sure that you take care of your people, number 1. You make sure they're paid, you make sure they're provided all the benefits they're entitled to, number 1. Okay? So when you say cuts, that was never my verbiage. I said restructuring. That's on this body of people up here to take care of. We are doing you a disservice as well. I don't want to send you out with only a couple bullets in your holster. I want you to be prepared professional. Okay? So restructuring is completely different than cuts. The only person that's ever said anything about cuts was Mr. Peters in the January's RDC meeting when he brought up the fact about laying people off or borrowing money from this council to take care of RDC. That's where that dysfunction is. But I've never said anything about cutting people. If anything, I think you guys need additional, how it impacts you financially, because I think you guys are an elite people. So those words never came out of my mouth. So I apologize for that. But thank you for your service. Thanks.
I just want to say kudos, since you've been in charge and we had to ask a police officer from Beech Grove to come to our house so we could ask a question of what was legal and what was not legal. I was very, very, very impressed that they were there within 10
I'll take you to task on that because I have no idea what you're talking about. Nothing's misreported. We have to report stuff that, to the FBI, and if you're saying that we're lying to the FBI, then that's not good. Well, that's where those numbers come from, and we're actually switching, right? Correct, Deputy Chief? It's called NIBRS. It's a long story, but we don't doctor numbers. They come straight from our runs. And so what that's based off of, this safe city, the way I understand it, is the number of citizens and the number of types of crime that's based off. It's a percentage. And so no numbers are doctored, because I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, and this has nothing to do with anything, but if I was going to lie about numbers, I would increase that, because that means my budget goes up and I get more people. I wouldn't say that we're lower, because then you'll cut people and you'll cut my budget because I won't need it. No, so that's the truth. But yeah, no numbers have ever been doctored from us, because I want more people and more money. But I have the privilege of leading these guys, and they're great officers. They make my job easy. I don't have to worry about them showing up to your house and being professional. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, folks. For those who don't know me, my name is Warner Wiley. I live at 402 Park Meadow Court here in Beech Grove. I've lived in Beech Grove for 83 years, and I've served the city of Beech Grove in a variety of capacities, including police chief and mayor, for 47 years. So I think I have a little bit of an idea of how things work in the city. And as mayor for 12 years, like mayors before me and Dennis now, have dealt with the sewer system all those years in one way or the other. But as I see it, I think the council probably has maybe two choices to make. One is to raise the rates recommended by the mayor, which I think are reasonable and needed, and use that new money, new revenue, in an attempt to improve the system that is at least 50 years old in some cases, and pay some of the bills like the councilman mentioned a while ago. Most of you probably have not been around Beech Grove long enough to remember the first wastewater treatment system the city had was located of all places in our Beech Grove City Park. And you can imagine when the wind was blowing whichever direction, what kind of a smell permeated across the city. It wasn't very pleasant. And at one time, some of the raw sewage actually got into the drinking water system, and dozens of people had to be taken to the hospital for treatment. So the sewers have been a pain in the rear forever. I think that system down in the park was built probably in the mid-40s, if I remember right. But I think many people thought that when the city went into the interceptor sewer system, I thought that the problem would be resolved. I think it's probably helped, but it sure hasn't completely cured the problem as it exists. And mayors and councils that I just mentioned over the years have been reluctant, I think, to raise the rates for a variety of reasons. And I'll be one to admit that I'm one of them. Probably in the 12 years that I was mayor, I only raised the rates maybe twice. And that was a mistake. We should have probably raised the rates a little bit every year. And we probably wouldn't be standing here tonight talking about having to make what a lot of you, including me, think is high. And if you're like me, I'm like or several of you people out here, I'm on fixed income too. And my 2% actually, when I get my check, is going to be less than what it was last year, believe it or not.
All right, Mr. Wiley. One minute.
But on the other hand, Mayor Buckley, I think, has been proactive. He's bitten the bullet and is doing what I think needs to be done. and I know a lot of you disagree with me. Which brings me to choice number two. I'm not sure there is a choice number two. I've racked my brain over the last week or so trying to come up with some idea of what could be done to improve the system, short of tearing the whole thing out. I don't know, whether it's 40-some miles of a sewer system running around through the city of Beech Grove. I don't know what else could be done, to be honest with you. Like you, nobody likes to have their rates raised on anything. The difference being, I guess, I'll just use maybe a crazy analogy. I went back and checked on my utility bills and other bills that I pay by the month going back to November. Every one of them has gone up. Did I have any recourse in them? No. This is a crazy comparison, but I used to deliver the Indianapolis Star when I was a kid. I've been a customer of theirs for 60 years, and my rate went from $22 to $38. And I called the Indianapolis Star and asked them about it. And basically what they told me is that's the rate. I'm taking it out of context now, but that's the rate, pay it, or we'll do away with your subscription. I had no other recourse. Difference being that people, the mayor's office, for example, I think all mayors, I know at least back through Elton Gashweiler and myself, and now Dennis Buckley, you can walk into his office about any time and sit down and drink a cup of coffee and talk to him about problems like we're discussing tonight. In the same way, I think, with the council. I think you guys are all available. Try that in Indianapolis, or try that with your congressman. You won't get very far. My point being that when you come in to meetings like this, we listen to you. You may not always agree with what the council or the mayor decides what to do, but at least you've been heard. And I think that says a lot. I've heard somebody say that we need to just maintain the status quo. I disagree with that. If we maintain the status quo and don't do anything, the city of Beech Grove is going to start deteriorating, and people are going to, like somebody else mentioned, are going to stop coming here, and your property values are going to go down substantially. So that's my story. I'll stick by it. I appreciate all the comments that were made here tonight. They're well taken. I know you're sincere, and I wish the council lots of luck. Thank you.
Sir. Council Ferguson.
Sorry?
Which one?
Both, how about that?
It's being funny.
Kara on there.
Mr. Ferguson, do you need extra time, sir?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Robert Ferguson, I live at 84 South 10th Avenue in District 3, obviously. As being an elected official, it's my job to represent the citizens. And by doing that is also to go and ask questions of the department heads and the people who are in charge of the sewer system. So this last week, I did have a meeting with Brad and Phil, sat in their office and had about an hour long conversation with them about their issues. The first question that I asked both of them was, do you have any plans already in place for pipes that need to be immediately fixed? Because we keep hearing that it's a catastrophic system, that there's drastic problems with the pipe system. They couldn't give me anything. They could not give me any specific place where there's an issue with a pipe, and they had nothing planned out on what they would like to preventive maintenance on the pipes. They did provide me with a site map that shows all the sewers that have all been relined, and that's almost all of the older part of the city. There's a few exceptions. And the newer neighborhoods in Timber Grove and the new additions are built over by the old rock pile. Those don't need to be lined because those were built with PVC pipe. So they're not having any issues with that. So on the map, if you look at it, it does show on the map that there's several areas without relined pipes, but those pipes don't need to be relined. So when I did talk to them, in Phil's email that was read by Councilor Lamping, the catastrophic event that happened, we did talk about that one. That was explained to me that the issue was paper towels that were being flushed down the toilet system, and that sewer line is serviced from Hornet Park and Taco Bell area. Not saying that they are the culprits of it, but that's where that sewer line feeds into, and that was the issue that they were having. I then asked a question about how much do we spend when we have to have additional help to clean out the sewer lines. It was explained to me that it can run anywhere from $800 to $1,000 a day to have a vehicle come out and assist with that. That incident, they were able to get the first blockage moved, that vehicle left, and then there was another blockage a little bit further down. They had to get a second one out there to finish getting that blockage out. So you're talking at most roughly probably about $2,000 to get that blockage taken care of. We also talked about equipment trucks. If you want to invest in a vac truck, you're looking at about $300,000, and a jet truck that cleans out the water line is about $400,000. So that's $700,000 for those two vehicles. And if we're only spending $1,000 to have a private company come out here and assist us with a blockage, that's 700 times we can call them out to assist us. So one thing that I do agree is an issue is some of the old manhole covers that we do have in the city. I did see some pictures, and I know personally from working downtown in the older part of Indianapolis, there are issues with the old brick manhole covers where they are cracking and the mortar's going away. Those do need to be addressed, and those roughly will cost about $5,000 a manhole to fix that properly. We talked about the estimated 40% of the seepage into the sewer system. It was explained to me that they believe that the majority of that is from the older neighborhoods. When they were built, it was advertised that you want to put your sub pump into the sewer line to help dilute the sewage as it's going down the lines. I do know that for my house, I do have a drain down in my basement, and I was explained that since I have that drain in the basement, that does in fact feed into the sewer line. And one other thing, the mayor had a proposal that was given by the financial advisor. It was this form right here. I brought that to their attention. On there, it shows a steady increase for the wholesale volume of water that's being treated. I asked Brad and Phil, I said, is there an annual increase of about 30 million gallons a year of water is being treated? They said no. They said the 10-year average over the last 10 years will run anywhere from 180 to 700 million gallons. Last year, they treated 705 million gallons. That's 2 million less than what was estimated. And they said that was because of the extra rainfall that we had over the summer. We had a lot of rain over the summer. So if you go through there and if you adjust the numbers, if you look down to 2023, that's just in 3 years, this spreadsheet that was created shows almost an extra 100 million gallons of being treated. And then that's all spread across. So I believe that those numbers are wrong. They're on that form. I think when it was created, they just increased all the numbers across the board by roughly 30%, and they didn't keep the steady number of gallons treated the same. So I just want to put out information so we all are informed and we all know so we can make the right decision on what we need to make. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Council, anybody else sign up to speak?
That's it.
Okay, we will close the public comment and go unto unfinished business carried over from the last meeting. General Ordinance Number 1, 2020 is up for approval on second reading. This time, I will ask for a motion to approve.
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment. I served under an administration Well, it ended about 8 years ago, and it ended in a mayor resigning, and inheriting a pretty disastrous budget or monies was our clerk at the time was Dan McMillan, and of course, Mayor Buckley. I no longer was on the council for the upcoming 4 years, and then I got on the second 4 years. But what I wanted to say about the word layoffs, and I'm not indicating or trying to threaten, but I am a little gun shy. I came from an administration that cut its civilian paramedics. It no longer hired police officers and went through a drought as far as giving our police officers raises. Now, it started with a major raise and probably one of the biggest sewer increases the city has ever seen. This is nothing. There was no explanation for that, but I wanted to say that living through that part of it came not when I was on the council. It gets kind of confusing. But the 4 years I was on, the second 4 years of that, I watched our city administration people have to use comp time in order to work, which means that has to be paid back some way. But you can't tell a policeman he can't go out on an investigation when there's something serious going on, or when he has to work over, or a fireman who's on a fire run. So the city had to pay them with comp time, hoping that one day it'd be fixed. Matter of fact, our city attorney left an IOU bill. How quickly we talk about bad government. This government here in the last 8 years, who I ran against this man, right here. I can have issues. But I also watched one of the most devastating times in our city when we couldn't hire people, we couldn't give raises, we couldn't even pay them to work overtime. Not only that, we lost our communication division, which we couldn't afford. There was no money there. I watched it. We talked about one day in a council meeting that we were going to do something for $50,000. I asked the mayor there isn't $50,000. I mean, we have $50,000 now to do it. It might be poor to make the wrong decision, but then even if it was the right decision, we didn't have 50. So I watched our fire and police not only reduce in size, but I watched police officers knowing that might not be any overtime, extra equipment, and our city even didn't pay some of its bills. The new administration had to take those on. And I know we want to say fix things and make things right. This administration's already done it once, and I'm not here to brag. I'm not saying there's not more to be done. My final statement is I just say how quickly we forget. Now, I could sit up here and do a little criticism all through the years as well, but that one rings true to me. I sat on a council that it was terrible. And I mean terrible. It's terrible for our employees. It's terrible for our city. And as far as doing work in the sewers, I think Mayor Wiley can agree that in the past 8 years, we have done work with people's money. Not only in public safety to help in the police world, but also we've done infrastructure. As it's been mentioned on many of our, all we own down there is a bunch of old pipes. That's why I always figured, I don't know why anybody want to pay a lot of money for old pipes. We have to keep them up. That's what we got. We got choices. We could sell it, or let's not do nothing. And the problem is that between now and the rest of this budget year, I agree with trying to restrain from how much we need from the sewer. I've said that. There's a plan. Fixing it tonight, I don't see it. I'd like to say it. I'd like to tell everybody I think we ought to give everybody a buck back on their money. But I'd be irresponsible. I was irresponsible 2 years when I should have voted to raise it, but I didn't have the courage to do it. I had the courage to say, no, we're not going to raise it, because that's easy. And I just feel that we're at a point, it's not all about how much Citizens is always going to charge. It's about what everybody else charges too. It's been mentioned in our trash that it costs more now for where our trash needs to go. It's going to cost more for equipment we need, even if it's the same equipment and even if we wait a while. Finally, I wanted to say we are a frugal city. Go to cities where they're building government centers, where they're in debt, truly in debt, where they've got marble floors, fountains out front. This city's got a police station that's been over there for what, 40-some years? That's not the end of the world, but the point of it is we're frugal. We really are. And I don't think we should beat up on each other that lately our government has not been terrible. We've come a long way. Can we be better? Yes. But you want to live the last 3 or 4 years on the city council I was on, it wasn't very pleasant. And there was no money to even argue about. In closing, with that, I just wanted to say sometimes we forget how bad it was. Maybe you didn't know how bad it was. Maybe you didn't know that we didn't pay our water bill and this city had to pay over $100,000. I think that was negotiated. I don't remember how it worked, but we didn't pay our water bill. Mayor Buckley, Dan McMillan, our administration people had to pay it. So I linger on, but I just thought it's important to know. And one of my other big things is Mr. Busby does need a sidewalk. I wanted to end with that. A lot of them over there need sidewalks. So.
Got a lot of kids come up that street.
With that, I don't know, I wish we could do something for seniors. We had talked about that. I know that the counselor over here agrees with trying to do, and I just might as well while I'm jabbering here, he does agree that we ought to go across the line and take care of commercial property, apartments. They ought to pay their fair share. On here, they're not. So they deserve to pay their fair share if that some way will help. So whatever that was brought up, it was absolutely right on that they do need to do that. I think Dave Grenoble mentioned it, and the words he mentioned were exactly right. Counselor here is one above that one, I think. With that, I'll probably say something else, but for now, I think that's good enough.
General Ordinance Number 1, 2020 is up for approval on second reading only. I'm open for any recommendation from this council. If not, I'll ask for a motion, or I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
General Ordinance Number 1, 2020. Ordinance Number 1, 2020 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 50 and Chapter 96 of the Code of Ordinances pursuant to fees collected for trash pickup in residential and commercial properties. Whereas the City of Beech Grove Department of Public Works provides excellent trash pickup to residential properties and commercial properties who voluntarily decide to participate. And whereas from time to time, the Department of Public Works has to replace equipment and trash containers to keep up with the demand placed on disposing of trash. And whereas employees of the Department of Public Works transports trash for disposal to either the South Side Landfill or Covanta. And whereas the cost to dispose of trash, including landfill costs, continue to rise, causing the City of Beech Grove from time to time to adjust their rates. Therefore, be it affirmed that the Common Council of the City of Beech Grove desires to adjust the rates charged to residential and commercial customers of the Beech Grove Sewage Works for the disposal of trash. Therefore, be it further affirmed that the Common Council instructs that the following changes be made in Chapter 50 and Chapter 96 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Delete Chapter 50.040 in its entirety and replace with the following. 50.040 Uniform Solid Waste Fee Collection. A. Notwithstanding any other provision of the Code of Ordinances, all costs related to collecting and the disposal of trash, including equipment and wages, as provided in Chapter 96 of this code, shall be included in and accounted for as a cost of the city's sewage utility provided in this chapter. B. The Uniform Solid Waste Fee established by Section 96.07 of the Code of Ordinances shall set a rate as follows for all single and double-family residential units within the corporate boundaries of the City of Beech Grove. Such rates shall be as follows. Effective February 24th, 2020, $17. Effective January 1st, 2021, $19. Effective January 1st, 2022, $21. Effective January 1st, 2023, $22. C. Payments shall be made payable to the City of Beech Grove Sewage Works. Cash payments, checks, or money orders may be paid in person or placed in the drop box located at the 8th Avenue entrance. Payments can also be mailed or paid online. Delete Section 96.37A in its entirety and replace with the following. Leave subsection B and C in place. 96.37 Cost to participate in commercial trash pickup service. A. The cost per month for each trash container tote shall be as follows. Effective February 24th, 2020, $20. Effective January 1st, 2021, $21. Effective January 1st, 2022, $21. Effective January 1st, 2023, $22. Now therefore be it affirmed that the Common Council desires to amend the fees charged to customers of Beech Grove Sewage Works Utility for the disposal of trash. Now therefore be it further affirmed that this ordinance only applies to the fees associated with the disposal of trash and no other fee. Now therefore be it further affirmed that this ordinance shall go into effect pursuant to the billing cycle beginning after February 24th, 2020, and after passage by the Common Council, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you, Jim. Motion to approve General Ordinance 1, 2020 on second reading only.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
And we'll start on my right. Gary?
Nay. Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
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 Passes 5-2 on second reading. General Ordinance Number 1, 2020 is up for approval on third and final reading. And before I do that, Council, I want to clear a couple of things that might be confusing. If you are a resident of Beech Grove and you ask for one tote, there's no additional charge. If you ask for a second tote, there's no additional charge. Any tote beyond that is $5 per tote that we charge each month. So that's in place. And secondly is we do not pick up commercial trash as far as dumpsters. So we do not go into any apartment complex. We don't go to any school. We don't go to the Hermitage or the monastery or any commercial business and pick up dumpsters. We do offer commercial trash pickup on a per tote basis. It's $20 per tote right now. And for each tote that you want, it's $20. So I just want to make that clear. I received an email from a gentleman today and stating that we shouldn't be picking up dumpsters in apartments. We don't do that. So I just want to make sure that you're clear on that. So with that, General Ordinance Number 1, 2020 is up for approval on third and final reading. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
Can I make a motion for title only?
Yes, title only. I need a second.
I'll second.
We'll start on my left, Counselor Templin.
Title only.
Title only?
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
This time I'll ask the clerk to read General Ordinance Number 1, 2020 into the record by title only for third reading.
General Ordinance Number 1, 2020. General Ordinance Number 1, 2020 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 50 and Chapter 96 of the Code of Ordinances pursuant to fees collected for trash pickup in residential and commercial properties.
Thank you. This time I'll ask for a motion to approve General Ordinance Number 1, 2020 on third and final reading.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
And we'll begin voting on my right. Gary?
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
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 Let the record show it passes 5-2. Please register your vote. Council, while you're signing your vote, I mentioned a truck being embargoed out at Covana. What happens is when the guys deliver the trash out to Covana, it gets monitored for hazardous materials. And when the radiation level is high enough on the truck, the workers have to park the truck, and we have to go out and get them, and the truck has to stay out there. It becomes embargoed, and it stays out there. It could stay out there for up to 3 or 4 days until the levels are down to where it's acceptable to dump the trash. And where that comes from is people who are being treated with chemotherapy or radiation and dispose of items. That's what causes that. So it's kind of risky. Depend on what they pick up, but I just wanted to mention that because That's something that nobody really ever thinks about, but it's there, so. General Ordinance Number 2, 2020 is an ordinance that adjusts the sewer rates for the city of Beech Grove. And before I ask the clerk to read it into record, I'm open to any recommendation from the council.
I'd like to make an amendment that we charge the apartments and commercial as the same as we do the homeowner. Same rate.
There's been a motion to, by Councilor Day to amend General Ordinance 2 for the commercial or for apartment complexes,
And commercial.
the same rate as residential. Discussion from the council.
First of all, I will second it. I understand the apartments, we have it on the commercials, might be a little complicated, but I will second the amendment.
Any discussion from the council? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve Councilor's Day amendment.
Well, before you do that, the base rate of the commercial is like the size of the pipe, am I not right?
Well, no, if you look down, when I put this in your packet, when we did it on first reading, I left out the flow rates on the bottom. And I underlined the 4 flow rates at the very bottom. Do you see it? I left those out. Those have to go in for anything other than residential, because that's what they base their bill on.
Okay, yes.
The only thing, council, that,
This is,
the only thing that these numbers up here says
yeah,
is that you are at least going to be charged this. But anything other than residential properties, their meters are read every month, and they're going to be based in 2020 on $3.99 per 1,000 gallons of water that they use. That's an increase from $2.40. That's a substantial increase. All these numbers over here is telling them that that's going to be your minimum bill. Their bill is going to be based on how much water they use.
And you're referring to commercial property?
Anything other than anything other than single and double family dwelling. And I'll tell you what, when it gets to 2023, right now we're at 240. When it gets to 2023, it's $4.75 for 1,000 gallons. That is a kicker. There's some big business in our city that's going to be having a meeting with me.
I think last time there was some attorneys involved too.
The last time there was attorneys involved. This is a substantial increase for everybody other than single and double family dwelling. Right now, we're at $2.40 for commercial customers for every 1,000 gallons treated. It goes to $3.99, then in 21 it goes to $4.06, 22 it goes to $4.38, and then in 23 it goes to $4.75. That is a huge increase. 6-inch, right now, if your business has a 6-inch water main, the lowest bill you're going to pay is $848. And what is it in 23? What's the lowest bill you're going to pay in 23? What's it say on there?
$1,672.
$1,600 a month. So, Councilor Day has an amendment that's been seconded by Councilor Templin to set the rate for, help me, Kevin, commercial rate
Commercial as well as apartment.
at the same rate as residential. And then we'll vote on that amendment. There's a second. All those, we'll do it individually, beginning with Gary.
Can I clarify something?
Sure.
Per your amendment, Kev, does that actually decrease? If you're looking
Could
at
very well.
I'm sorry?
Usage.
Okay, so do you
On the
see how
commercial,
poor
it
planning
could.
we've done up to this point, and we're even doing worse planning now? Does anyone else see this?
Well, I do in one way, on commercial. I think the apartments are kind of clear on that, because as far as the structure on here, first of all, commercial's not listed on here to do any math, so that's one thing.
Right. So would it increase the apartments then?
$10 per month. Now, for
'Cause
the
it goes by
apartments,
unit.
are we looking to charge
$10
them
per unit.
per room?
It's water use.
It does,
Or
the
is it
listing
for
on what Kevin has here, it shows a current $30 per unit a month, and it would raise $10 for a unit.
Do we know
Why
how
not
many
leave the
occupants
commercial
or
alone?
apartment residents?
Just do the apartments. Because they could go down.
The document that Kevin has comes from a rate study done by it used to be Crow Chiswick, now it's Baker Tilly. And they looked at 390 municipalities, and they come up, you can charge a flat rate for residential, you can do a flat rate for apartments, individual apartments. You can do a flat rate for laundromats per machine, and there's one other, I don't know what it was, Kevin.
School.
Schools, per student, $1.75 per student. So you can, that is a way that people who live in single and double family dwellings, who feel like apartments don't pay their fair share, can swing that over to make it seem fair for everybody. I wouldn't do it for
Would it be
commercial and
best to take
industrial,
commercial out
but
of it then?
I wouldn't do it, I wouldn't recommend to this body to do it for commercial or institutional or public buildings, but I would, it's a nice option for apartments. And a multifamily dwelling is 3 or more units.
I do think that, I don't know if he's going to amend his amendment, but it certainly, we should look into it, I think. I don't know if.
Yeah, I'll amend the amendment, just make it apartments only.
And I will second that.
Is the council clear on that?
How many residents will that affect that dwell in apartments, please?
Oh, Gary, I don't know.
So
I
so
don't.
we're just throwing money out there, and we don't know how much, and
I think part of it is that if the residents of Beech Grove, we would just like to, I know Kevin has talked to me, and I agree, I'd just like to see the apartments at least stay in the ballgame as the residents
Be on
do.
the same rate, yeah.
And I do think that we have to look at commercial down the road too. I don't, as Dave mentioned, I think it's a serious thing to make sure that we do it right, but it's, here we got people that are homeowners that are paying more. I don't know if that's totally fair. We know how it gets passed on, but when Kevin brought it up, the only thing I could really look at here was the apartment part of it, and that's the amendment here now, so.
What's the monastery, the Hermitage, what are the
They are a nursing home.
commercial?
Commercial.
No, it's classified as institution.
Okay, and then that's not apartments.
Okay, there is amendment out there for just
Apartments only.
apartments only, and Counselor Templin seconded. I'll ask for a vote on this, yes or no. Gary?
yes.
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 Okay, General Ordinance Number 2, 2020 is up for approval on second reading with the amendment. And at this time, I will ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I'd like to make an amendment by request here that the rate shows $6.34. I'd like to reduce that rate to, sounds insignificant, but to $6.
Jim, make sure you track the what the First Amendment was. There is a motion to reduce the rate to single and double family dwellings from $6.34 to $6. Second.
I'll second.
We'll begin with a vote on my right. Gary?
Aye.
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 Passes 7-0. There's two amendments. General Ordinance number 2, 2020 is up for approval on second reading. Yes, Bob?
Is there a way we can put an amendment in here to where, for our fixed income residents, that we would have some program in place, possibly where they could have a $5 credit a month in their account? They come in and show that they are on a fixed income, if they receive Social Security, and also if they receive like any government assistance. So I would also include younger families that have children that receive SNAP benefits. I think that we need to include them also in the program, to where, since we own it, we control it, so we should be able to offer something to our citizens.
I agree with you on those, kind of going that direction legally, where we stand on that. So the comment was made pretty, kind of nice when we say we own it.
Let me make this suggestion to the legislative body. I agree with, we talked about this in the meeting, I agree with this, I would sign this, but I think we should approve this, come back and visit that, we'll visit it at the next meeting, and if you guys would get together and come up with a proper, what do you call it, proper proposal that you can present, and we'll pass it. Yeah, I think that's fair. Other utilities do the same thing. People who have hardships, whether they're on fixed income or not, you just have to take a look, and if you can help them, why not? So that's.
We wouldn't want to
my take.
exclude anybody that rightfully would need to be in there. I think that's a heck of an idea.
So would the proposal be then that people not on a fixed income, not in Social Security, not receiving SNAP benefits would pay a even higher amount than the $6.34?
No,
Or
no,
$6?
no, they would pay they would pay the amount,
Okay.
and then we
Because I
would.
just didn't know what does that look like to offset that? If we give that just.
That's what it's,
count.
the council needs to take a look at it, then come back with a recommendation.
You know, probably 60% of our community population qualify for those benefits.
Yeah, we
So-
have to be careful how.
So what we've just done, the increase that you're requesting, the $6 that you amended, we just did away with that. I mean,
Yeah. It's possible, but you know what, out of all this, I don't know, there are people that have been mentioned that have difficulties, and if there's a way, we haven't decided yet how much money, we haven't decided on who, we just have to, but that's certainly something, like Bob had mentioned, we find out where we're at on at least.
Do we have any like reporting on demographics, like an up-to-date demographic survey or anything like that that really tells us how many and their income levels?
No, not that I'm aware of.
what's our latest census, 2017?
No, 2010. We're due for another one this
We're
year.
due this year, but I
This
mean,
year.
so statistically that,
Okay. Because I really don't think we could make a valid argument on either way unless we really know how many people are affected, because then that would determine the amount of who would pay more.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I just,
Okay, I guess I'll table my motion until the next meeting so that we can get together, and maybe I'll reach out to Citizens Energy, find out how they offer benefits to their residents, who qualifies for it, and how they base it.
Sounds good.
So we have two amendments that have been approved, and then General Ordinance number 2, 2020 is up for approval on second reading only. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to read it into the record, please.
Can I just confirm one thing with Kevin quick? So that the $6 right here would be so that would be $32.60.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. General Ordinance number 2, 2020. General Ordinance number 2, 2020 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 50 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to fees charged to Beech Grove Sewage Works customers for the treatment of wastewater. Whereas the City of Beech Grove operates and maintains a wastewater collection system that delivers wastewater to Citizens Energy Group. And whereas the City of Beech Grove sanitary sewer system consists of 40 miles of pipe and a collection system which includes over 500 manholes. And whereas the Board of Public Works and Safety has entered into an agreement with Citizens Energy Group through 2025 for the treatment of wastewater generated by Beech Grove Sewage Works customers. Whereas the cost to treat wastewater continues to rise and rates must be adjusted to offset the rising cost of wastewater treatment. Now therefore be it affirmed that the Common Council for the City of Beech Grove desires to amend Chapter 50 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove concerning fees for the treatment of wastewater. Now therefore be it further affirmed that the Common Council desires the following amendments to be inserted into Chapter 50 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Delete Chapter 50.031 and Chapter 50.032 in its entirety and replace with the following. Citizens Energy Group and the City of Beech Grove's Board of Public Works and Safety have entered into an agreement for the treatment of wastewater generated by customers of the Beech Grove Sewage Works Utility. Such agreement was approved by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, IURC, and the set rates for the treatment of wastewater based on per 1,000 gallons of wastewater are listed below. Effective January 1st, 2019, 75 cents. Effective January 1st, 2020, $1.17. Effective January 1st, 2021, $1.41. Effective January 1st, 2022, $1.70. Effective January 1st, 2023, $2.02. Effective January 1st, 2024, $2.25. The Common Council shall adjust the fees charged to customers of the Beech Grove Sewage Works Utility for the treatment of wastewater as approved by the IURC. Such fees shall also be adjusted as often as necessary to provide for and maintain a sewage works utility. B. For the use of the services rendered by the sewage works, rates and charges shall be collected from the owners and or residents and tenants of each and every lot, parcel, or real estate, dwelling unit, or building that is connected to the city's sanitary sewer system or otherwise discharges sewage, industrial waste, water, or other liquids, either directly or indirectly, into the sanitary sewer system of the City of Beech Grove. Such rates and charges include operation and maintenance, user charges, debt service costs, excessive strength surcharges, and other service charges, which rates and charges shall be payable as hereinafter provided and shall be in an amount determinable as follows. C. For all user classes except residential users, the charges to treat wastewater shall be based on the quantity of water used on or in the property premises, subject to rates and charges as the same measured by the water meter there in use, except as herein otherwise provided. For the purpose of billing and collecting the charges for sewage service, the water meters shall be read in accordance with the operating practice of Citizens Energy Group or other other water suppliers, as the case may be. All users shall be billed monthly on a period equaling a month. The water usage schedule on which the amount of said rates and charges shall be determined as follows. Residential users, flat rate, and apartments, right, Kevin?
Yes.
And apartments, flat rate, effective February 24th, 2020, $32.66. Effective January 1st, 2021, $37. Effective January 1st, 2022, $41. Effective January 1st, 2023, $46. In order to recover the cost of monitoring commercial, institutional, and industrial waste, the district shall charge the user the actual cost of sampling and analysis. 50.032, minimum charge, base level, basis of rates. The minimum charge on any monthly billing for a non-residential user or apartment shall be as follows. Non-residential minimums. February 24th, 2020. Less than 1 inch, $37.74. 1 inch, $44.43. 1 1/4 inch, $82.47. 1 1/2 inch, $111.03. 2 inch, $168.18. 3 inch, $282.44. 4 inch, $518.45. 6-inch, $930.19. Effective January 1st, 2021. Less than 1 inch, $45.62. 1 inch, $54.03. 1 1/4 inch, $101.86. 1 1/2 inch, $137.79. 2 inch, $209.57. 3 inch, $353.19. 4 inch, $612.19. 6 inch, $1,020.19. Effective January 1st, 2022. Less than 1 inch, $48.66. 1 inch, $57.72. 1 1/4 inch, $109.33. 1 1/2 inch, $148.09. 2 inch, $225.53. 3 inch, $380.47. 4 inch, $667.76. 6 inch, $1,142.36. Effective January 1st, 2023. Less than 1 inch, $52.17. 1 inch, $62. 1 1/4 inch, $117.97. 1 1/2 inch, $160. 2 inch, $243.98. 3 inch, $412.01. 4 inch, $732.02. 6 inch, $1,250.05. B, all users' rates and charges shall be based on the quantity of water used on or delivered to the property or premises, subject to such rates and charges as the same is measured by the water meters in use and the strength of the waste where applicable, except hereinafter provided. C, in addition to all other charges for treatment of wastewater to an individual user, there is imposed a service charge of $7.10 per month for all other users. The minimum charge is set out in Chapter 50.032, Divisions A and B above shall include such service charge. Now therefore be it affirmed that the Common Council desires to amend the fees charged to customers of the Beech Grove Sewage Works Utility for the treatment of wastewater. Now therefore be it further affirmed that this ordinance only applies to the adjustment of wastewater fees passed on to the customers of the Beech Grove Sewage Works Utility and no other fees. Now therefore be it further affirmed that this ordinance shall go into effect pursuant to the first billing cycle beginning after February 24th, 2020, and after passage by the Common Council, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you, Jim. General Ordinance Number 2, 2020 is up for approval on second reading only with 2 amendments.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
We'll begin voting on my right. Gary?
Nay.
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 Yay.
Yes.
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 It passes 4-3 on second reading. This time, it's General Ordinance Number 2, 2020 is up for approval on third and final reading. And before we do that, Council, I got to go back to the third page in the non-residential minimums. At the very bottom, for the year 2020, I have to put in a flow rate of $3.99. For 2021, $4.06. For 2022, $4.38, and 2023, $4.75. That is for all customers other than those on fixed rate, which is apartments and single and double family dwelling, because all of these people are billed on water usage. So that is amendment that I asked someone to make a motion and a second to be put into this record.
I'll make an amendment that be entered into the record.
And I second.
I second.
We'll begin on my right. Gary?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
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 Passes, what, 5-2, or
I was an aye.
6 to 1.
6 to 1.
6-1.
6-1? Okay,
I believe it's 5-2. Didn't you vote no?
Only one.
Gary was aye.
Okay, sorry.
You doing the minutes over here? or-
Sorry.
General Ordinance number 2, 2020 is up for approval on third and final reading with a amendment that was just approved. This time I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record.
Mayor,
Yes?
can I, how do you guys feel about just approving just 2 years? And then that way there, we can see, one, if improvements are being done from the sewer system, that we're actually fixing the manhole covers, if we're reducing that 40% of extra drain water that's going in there to the sewer. Because I don't want to keep adding on and make a large increase continue. I understand citizens is increasing every year, but I believe if we take 2 years, start doing improvements on the sewer system, that we might be able to sustain at the lower rate instead of keep going up to the larger rate over the next 2 years. So I would make a motion that we just approve it for 2 years and then revisit it in 2 years.
I'll second.
That's another amendment. We'll begin voting on my right. Gary?
Aye.
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 Nay.
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 Passes 4-3.
4-3.
So this general ordinance number 2, 2020 is up for approval on third reading with 2 amendments. Is that right?
Now 3.
3.
3. Yes.
Now 3 amendments.
Jim, you better,
One for the apartments.
That was already approved second.
yeah.
On the second
This is
reading.
for
So,
third
as
reading. We did
it
the
has 2
flow
amendments.
rates and
Oh,
then
on-
Bobby's.
already amended.
We'll just have, yeah.
Oh, you're fine.
Thank you.
So it was already amended, so third reading would be amended with the flow charge increase and then moving it to 2 years as opposed to the 4.
I'll make a motion that it be read title only.
I'll second.
Motion to read by title only in a second. We'll begin voting on my left.
Title only?
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
This time I'll ask the clerk to read into the record General Ordinance number 2, 2020 for third reading by title only.
General Ordinance number 2, 2020. General Ordinance number 2, 2020 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 50 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to fees charged to Beech Grove Sewage Works customers for the treatment of wastewater.
This time I'll ask for a motion to approve General Ordinance number 2, 2020 on third and final reading.
I make said motion.
Second.
Begin voting on my right. Gary?
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
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 It passes 5-2. Please register your vote. We'll provide a new copy for the legislative body once we sort it out and get it, get Jim's notes and get it printed out. Sure.
Will this include the thing that you were talking about, getting a fixed reduction? You'll come back at a later date?
Yeah, that's going to be something that's going to be brought up at the next council meeting. So here in 2 weeks.
Added on to this, what you just passed, right?
It might be a separate resolution, or it might be its own ordinance. Might be an amendment added to it.
All right, thank you.
And Bobby, whatever you find out, you said you're gonna contact citizens?
Yeah, I plan on contacting citizens and IPL, see how they both do it, and then
Why
I'll
don't you
send an
us
email
all
out to
an email?
everybody
Okay,
on what I find.
very good.
Thank you.
That concludes new business. Comments from council members beginning on my left.
Just thank everyone, we always say thank everyone for being here, but everybody made some good points, come up here. I hope we all know we have to live together as neighbors if we have any disagreements. But I think that a couple good things, there was some things brought up about people that mentioned about fixed incomes. Maybe we can help a little bit there and see how that will go, resolving that problem somewhat, and the sidewalk too. But with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
I just want to thank everyone for coming and everyone that got up and spoke. This is probably the first meeting that I've lost sleep over the night before. So, that's all I got.
Why didn't you call me?
Guys could ask.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Just to let you know, I'm missing the Ritter Beech Grove game tonight, so I don't have a report. But they have won a few in a row now. But I tell you, I'm going to be in that fixed income. I'm 70, so I hear you. But I'll tell all of you, and this is my feelings, and I know some of you may take this wrong, but the council has a job, not just for the citizens, but for the city of Beech Grove. And sometimes you gotta split hairs and go one way or the other. And it is a tough job. And I appreciate the work Gary's done. I appreciate what Bob's gonna do. Trust me, I've been there and done it, and it's not easy. But I was on the first four-year council, and in 2014-15, I sit right out there with Citizens Gas, and they told us what was coming. And let me tell you, it's come true. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's going to happen. Gary Peters doesn't get those things, just pull them out of the air. Or Jeff Peters. But I appreciate it.
You guys are good friends, aren't you?
Yeah, we're a real good friend. But I appreciate everyone for coming, and just let you know, it's not easy. It's going to hurt more than, you know, I guess. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for coming. I just want to thank the department heads for the great job you do, the service to our citizens, the service to our community. You are where we progress, and I appreciate it. You do a great job, and we love all of you. Thank you.
I just want to say to all my fellow councilmen and women, thank you so much for everybody kind of collaborating and throwing ideas out there. I think that's the only way we're going to move this needle forward and work together to improve our city. So thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody that was here. I also want to also point out the great work by the Beech Grove Police Department. Hear a lot that people say they know what they signed up for, but I can tell you firsthand, no, you don't. I mean, when you're asking officers to go in there and try to look at and piece together a person that was brutally murdered, that takes a toll on them. So I want to thank them for all their hard work and what they do. And also, this was a hard vote for me because, I have to realize that I am here to represent my constituents in District 3. I have heard from a lot of them, and the way I voted was overwhelmingly how my constituents came to me for and what they requested. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone attending. To the folks that spoke, thank you so much for your input, and it was very much appreciated. For the chiefs that come forward regarding their personnel, you're not taken for granted. I truly do appreciate what you do for our community. I really, really do. But please don't take anything out of text. I just think your people deserve more. And my simplicity of my restructuring point was, if we were to do something like that and put you guys and gals number one, everything else would fall into place. So I don't care what happened tonight. I think I failed you. And moving forward, when things get worse, just like this commercial issue, we just pushed that down the road 4 years. That's all we did. So I sincerely apologize to you professionals. And, layoffs, that was never in my verbiage. I think you guys deserve more. Okay? And again, sincerely, thank you for your inputs. And it does not go unheard. I appreciate your time.
I want to call the fire chief up. We have been working, the city attorney and myself have been working with Senator Freeman. There's a Senate bill that is going through that affects how insurance pays for reimbursement to ambulance services. He's going to pass out a rate thing that we're going to take a look at in March to adjust our Medicare and Medicaid rates and it's a little bit complicated, but we need to take a look at this, and especially if the Senate bill passes, it will have an effect on the city of Beech Grove. So, Chief, very briefly.
Just real quick, and for every citizen that's sitting here, timing is everything, and this sounds horrible. But